Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your deep dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, your Hallowed High Priestess, tarot reader, and professional witch. And today I'm talking about a month ahead tarot spread for July 2026. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every Monday to check out the latest episode. So, for announcements today, if you want to carry the magic with you wherever we go, I have now created an Everyday Tarot merch collection. So, if you've ever found comfort in an episode, discovered a new perspective through a card pull, or felt seen by the community, this is a way to take a little of that magic with you wherever you go. Every purchase helps support the podcast and allows me to continue creating free tarot content, sharing card wisdom, and building a space where tarot is accessible, intuitive, and truly for everyone. Thanks for listening, sharing episodes, leaving reviews, and supporting this work in all the ways that you do. It means more to me than you know. So carry the magic with you. Grab your merch now. Mine is shipping to me this week. So I'm very excited. I got a purple tank top and a white crop top with the Everyday Tarot logo on it. So super excited for that. Other ways you can support the podcast are joining the Everyday Tarot family on Patreon. You can get exclusive tarot content like live access to New Moon Collective Tarot readings I do, meet other listeners in our members only chat to get access to bonus resources like my tarot card crafting workshop and tarot spreads I'm sharing, and a chance to help shape the future of the podcast. You can join that through the link in the show notes. I'm also now doing exclusive Patreon card pulls after every episode. I'll just stop the main recording and jump on over to Patreon. So those are releasing every week as well on Patreon, along with the main episodes. So that's something that you can get with your paid membership now. And then, for the month of July, you can still book Pay What You Can tarot readings. They do need to get booked before the end of July and paid in advance. Even if perhaps like you're booking it into August, just try to get them done, get them on the schedule. You'll get a 30-minute virtual tarot reading with me, and afterwards, I'll send you a full write-up of the cards, themes we discussed, images of the cards I pulled during the reading, and any other information, along with the recording of our chat together so that you always have that to refer back to later on. Other ways, of course, you can support the podcast are listening, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. You can join my newsletter list where you can get my Hallowed Tarot Spread workbook for free, the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. You can always fill out my guest inquiry form if you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast. And of course, you can always find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or for free on Patreon, in addition to the images of the cards I pull for each episode. So today we are discussing a month ahead spread for July 2026. So let's get into that. Today I am pulling a spread from Running with the Midnight Hare, a blog on WordPress.com. Let's see. This was published in January of 2020, and it's a 5-card month ahead spread. So most of the month ahead spreads I do are the spreads themselves could be for any month, so they're generic enough that you could do the same one every month. But yeah, for this one, I found one that seems fun to do for July. So I'll link to that person's blog where I found this. So yeah, grab your cards and let's get into it. This is a 5-card spread, like I said, and I'll be using the Snag Tarot deck. My sort of current favorite for doing the spread. So I'm going to do a quick shuffle or 2 or 3. Like I said, if you want to do it along with me, you can grab your ducks. Um, as we figure out what are we, going to be working on in July, what challenges, what positive things, what do I need to make time for, opportunities, all of that. All right. Okay. I always like to cut my deck. So it's 3 cards along the top and 2 along the bottom. Yeah, let's go ahead. All right. So recently for myself, I have done a solstice spread in June or like a summer solstice spread. I did a full moon spread for Capricorn, which just happened on June 29th. That's actually the day I'm recording this. So I've done that. And then I feel like I did another one too that was more of like a 6th month, like where are we at in the year kind of spread. Um, so I've done a lot of like bigger spreads recently, some for the podcast and some for myself. But yeah, this is a 5-card spread. So again, lay your top cards 1, 2, 3 across the top and then 4 or 5 at the bottom. It depends. Sometimes when I'm doing it for other people, or I guess sometimes I like lay them all out so I can see them in the beginning. Sometimes I'll flip them over as the questions go. This time I did them all together. And I already see some cards that I pulled in my last spread. So, always interesting to note. It's super fun or cool if you like write down your readings in a tarot notebook or grimoire or take pictures of it some way so that you can refer back to the cards. It's part of why when I do tarot spreads for other people, when I like do my readings, I like to give them like the recording, the visual, the write up, all of those different things, because it's a lot of information when you are just kind of like sitting in it in the moment. And sometimes things don't become clear or relevant or, yeah, just like don't really make sense until after. So I think it's nice to have some way to record things. I'll write down the like bigger spreads that I do, like I said, for like the solstice or like full moon. Sometimes I'll write it all out, like what the questions were, what card I pulled, and then kind of my like takeaways. But sometimes I just take pictures, or sometimes I'm like doing it with friends or for the podcast. So I've already sort of like digested the spread, and then it's still nice to look back on it. Although sometimes when I take pictures of it, I look back and I'm like, I don't know what spread this was, if it's just a picture of the cards. So recently I did do that. I like took a picture of the cards in the spread and then I like put text over top of it in the like editing for the photo and wrote like full moon and Capricorn spread so that at least I would remember like what this was relevant to. So, all right, let's get into it. So the first card is, what is the challenge for this month? And I pulled a lot of reverse cards. We're pulling from the Snag Tarot, so the one I've been using a lot. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So I'm going to show you real quick the spread. So this is the look of the spread here, month ahead tarot spread from Running with the Midnight Hare, their blog. And here's the 5 cards and questions. So what is the challenge? Positive energies I can embrace, negative energies I need to negotiate. What do I need to make time for? And what opportunity should I seize this month? So these are our questions. You can find there. Here's Emporium. Here, their information. I just search like month ahead tarot spreads and I try to like keep a list of them so that when I do these kind of episodes every month, I can find new spreads. But yeah, so this is interesting too, right? We have like roses, maybe peonies actually, flowers behind the spread. So that sort of adds to our thoughts about the reading. But okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this. This is the spread we talked about. And you can find the link to it in the show notes if you want to go check it out. And then let me share. Now we're gonna share my here we go, the tarot guide. So the Snag Tarot has a digital guide, which is part of why I like using this deck for the podcast, because I can show you all the cards easily and their definitions from what the card creators said, and then we can kind of dive into like what I think it's about. So I'm looking for Pentacles here. Ace of Pentacles. I guess Pentacles were first. Wow, sorry, this is like making me kind of dizzy to do. So here we have the Ace of Pentacles. So upright, right? This is about, it's the beginning of the Pentacles cards, groundedness, right? We get a lot of like plants in the background. We get the coin or the pentacle. Like I said, yeah, we got flowers and vines and green, right? For again, the earth sign of Pentacles. So traditionally, this card's about new opportunities, financial beginnings, material potential, long-term success, like new jobs, investment, tangible opportunities. And then this deck creator says their take on it is the Ace of Pentacles points to a new beginning in the material world. Something with real practical potential, could be a job, project, opportunity that offers stability and growth over time. It asks you to consider what you are building, whether it aligns with your values. Not every opportunity is worth taking, so choose what feels sustainable and not just promising. So sort of that like long-term thought process. So if I jump back over to the spread, what is the challenge for this month? And this is in reverse for me. So if we think about reversals as they can be too much or too little of that thing. So it could be like too many opportunities, and so it's hard to choose. Could be like too little, right? Like feeling kind of like, oh, I'm trying to create something new, long-term success, but it maybe it's not really like panning out yet, or I don't really have the numbers aren't coming in, the clients aren't coming in, like I'm not kind of having the thing that I thought I would here. Um, Reversals can also be, again, sometimes like the opposite. So could be like maybe there's something that came up that's like not a good idea or doesn't align with your values. If sometimes if we look at the card upside down, so if I flip this card upside down for myself, like it looks like the coin or the pentacle is like dropping out of their hand instead of like being cupped by it. So like the visual would perhaps say like maybe we're trying to grasp something or something's falling through our hands, or it doesn't really feel real practical potential yet. Perhaps it's still an idea and it hasn't manifested in the material world yet, like the Pentacles suit are. I'm trying to think of other reversal definitions. But yeah, I think so. Again, to go back to the question here, what is the challenge for this month? I think when I think about this for myself, or like what's coming to mind right now is sort of like, okay, I'm starting some new things and those are exciting, but they're still very new and not, they don't feel like stable and predictable yet. And so that's part of the challenge for this month. I think also this could be about something feeling like it's ending, right? If the Ace of Pentacles upright is about new beginnings, like new tangible things, right? The reverse could be like perhaps something is like falling through our grasp or is like being released materially. So something could be ending in that way, or just like something that you maybe thought you were going to continue having or that felt like it was going to become real might have just kind of like dropped out of focus or out of like interest or availability. Not every opportunity is worth taking, right? So again, like really thinking about maybe the challenge again is like, okay, I have all these options. Like, which one actually feels stable, grounding, something that I want to do long term, something that I can continue to imagine doing. And maybe which one, right? Like maybe there are some things that seem like a good idea, but maybe aren't going to pan out. So that's the Ace of Pentacles there. So if we go to card 2 now, positive energies I can embrace. Hilariously, I pulled the Fool reversed. So, right, upright, the Fool is about new beginnings and innocence, spontaneity, stepping into the unknown, right? The character often looks like they're about to step off a cliff, or here it kind of looks like they're on like a tightrope. Um, Signals optimism, freedom, willingness to take risks, sometimes right without understanding the consequences. It's the beginning of the journey. It's the 0. If you see up here, this is the number associated with the card. So if we go here, right, we see the 2, the Magician is 1. So here the Fool is 0. So it is also like the creation. It's the beginning before something has been manifested. It's the void is sometimes the other phrase for the Fool. It's like the thing that exists, like the vacuum that exists that we can create something in. So, right, their take, they say on the Fool upright is begin again on your own terms, being asked to trust yourself over expectation, step forward without needing permission or certainty, can be a leap of faith into authenticity, choosing your path even when it doesn't make sense to others, may also ask you to release fear or judgment of it or embrace the unknown as possibility and not danger. So, again, when I go back to the what card 2 is about. It says positive energies I can embrace. But again, we're talking about the reversal here. So the thing to embrace is the Fool in reverse. The Fool in reverse, I would say. So again, if the upright, it's about beginnings, like kind of like trusting things to, I would say, yeah, what's coming to mind is like there's something that you know you need to do that feels like this is the path I'm supposed to go on, but people keep telling me that's not smart or they're sustainable or, oh, you have been training for this long to do this other type of job. Like, why are you switching over to something now? I would just say that, yeah, this spread is saying embrace being the new beginner with the trust and kind of like don't let other people sway what they think is best for you. Don't get attached to other people's ideas about yourself and what you should or shouldn't do. And that, like, perhaps we are having fear of judgment or the unknown as possibility. Right? Like, again, if we look at this card, it's a sun. It's like they're wielding fire. It's like they're in a, I don't know, jester or even like devil costume, right? We have like horns here. So it's a very much like, right? Literally, jesters are like the Fool, like a clown, right? Like used to amuse. They have a mask on, they have a costume in a way. So when I think about this card saying positive energies to embrace, again, if we think about the reverse as if I turn the Fool card over, right, it looks like this card, it looks like someone is falling off of a rope. They're holding on to fire and almost like they're like grasping onto the sun. In the upright, it doesn't really look like that, but upside down, it like looks like they're about to grab a ball of fire. And it's like, oh man, you're gonna get burned. You're gonna fall and get burned. And again, that sounds like pretty dramatic, but I think like again, fire is also like sometimes how we start anew. It can be very dramatic. Um, there's a lot of, as I'm thinking about this spread, the month of July, I was just listening to a bunch of like astrology look aheads for the month for this week as I'm recording this on the 29th of June. So on the full moon in Capricorn day, we have Gemini changing sign, uh, Mars and Gemini, I think, changing this week. There's just like kind of a lot of chaotic energy for July. And so yeah, that's kind of like, I feel like this card's saying like embrace the chaos. Like the thing that we're supposed to embrace is like that we may fall like flat on our faces and like something might not go how we thought it was, but like we can get back up again. Like, right, if the Fool upright is all about our willingness to take risks without without understanding the consequences, right? Like without having proof, basically. Like this is the beginning. You have to just kind of trust that this thing's gonna happen. Um what we're embracing is like the trust above all else, even when you look around and it's like everything's on fire. How am I supposed to trust that when it burns down it's going to be better than what it was, when all I can think about is when everything is burned to ashes and there's like nothing. We have to remember that, like, again, like in a historically, a lot of agricultural societies actually like would burn their fields as a way of resetting the nutrients, resetting the crops for the next one, maybe not actually digging everything up and tilling it, but using fire as a cleansing method or as a way to kind of create compost, to create ash, which helps to regenerate a new garden, to put minerals back into the soil from all of the things that were. Um, and so again, I just think about that, like, while when everything is burning and when we see the ash, it is messy. It is like hot and fiery. Um, with Gemini, there's a lot of like air and fire energy this month too. And so I feel like this card feels, especially the look of it in particular, feels very appropriate right now, because it feels like this is what we're going to be seeing for the month. And so while again, it might not make sense right now, or we might have fear, or we're like, okay, I'm supposed to just trust. Like, ugh. It feels kind of bad. It also, I think of like for me, like this time of year, right now, my weather is like cool and overcast and like kind of dreary. It's like raining on and off today. It's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Like it doesn't feel like summer. Um, but I know this weekend is the 4th of July. We're entering like summer. July is usually when we in the Pacific Northwest start to kind of remain drier and have the hot weather. I'm going camping next week in a hot place. And so I'm like, yeah, I need to prepare for the heat, like the literal heat, and then also just like the dryness and the dust and the danger kind of that comes along with fire and being in the height of summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So that was very long-winded for that card. Let's move into the next one. So the next card is number 3, negative energies I need to negotiate. So I pulled the Knight of Cups, which I pulled definitely last week in a spread. The Knight of Cups and negative energies I need to negotiate. Again, we're getting all these reversals that are very interesting. It's good practice, I think, for learning about reversals, because the Knight of Cups is not like usually negative energy. It can be, like, it can be this idealism. So let's get into it. The Knight of Cups, so I pulled this in upright. Traditionally about romance, idealism, emotional pursuit, following the heart, right? So we think of literally a Knight of Cups. Cups are the water sign in tarot. Cups are associated with emotions. And then we have the Knight that goes out, that pursues, that follows the fight, that goes out from the kingdom and makes things happen, takes action. Right. So that really aligns with this like following the heart, right? Like taking the action, pursuing emotional things, which can be idealism. So they say their take on it is follows the Knight of Cups follows feeling over logic. This can be powerful because it can lead you towards something meaningful. It can also raise questions about balance. Are you seeing things as they are or as you hope they will be, right? The idealism aspect. This card invites you to honor your emotions while staying grounded enough to act on them in a way that is sustainable. So, the negative energies I need to negotiate, I would say, with this card are staying grounded enough to act on them in a way that is sustainable, right? Like acknowledging our emotions, allowing them to happen, but also trying to be clear about where have we fallen into idealism? Where have we maybe had rose-colored glasses on when it comes to something? That some of the negative energies to negotiate this month are around like balance. Again, are we just kind of like barreling ahead with our feelings and making decisions based on that and kind of not necessarily thinking about like the consequences or like what might come from those actions. But this also says like it is about following feeling over logic, so we can acknowledge that and that sometimes that can be helpful, but also like think you still want to think long term, right? It's okay to perhaps rush into something or not have a plan and go with what your feelings are, but then at that point this card is saying, right? Like, okay, well, now what? Like you followed your heart, you did the thing. Like, how do you make it real? How do you stay in it? Right. If we think about like literal romance or following the heart, right? It can be like, oh, yeah, okay, you had a crush or you had an idea about something that is so exciting. And then, like, whatever it is, you create the thing, you make the merch, you put it out there. And then it's like, well, now what? Like, how do you right? How do you get people to buy the thing? How do you create something that people actually want to have? How do you create a relationship that is long term or lasting or can like get through arguments or have kind of like create a life together? How do you actually do those parts of it? Maybe the parts that don't always feel as like fun and exciting or that can lead to like emotional turmoil. And actually like it with when I think about kind of the more romance side of this, it feels like, oh, okay, like how do you follow your heart again, like begin this relationship or whatever it is. And then how do you actually reconcile like are you emotionally ready for that? Like what happens when you do fight? Like what are the plans? How are you going to stay in it? How are you going to talk about it? How are you going to resolve conflict? Um and that those are much more of the like sticking points or things that are going to have a relationship last a long time if that's what you want versus perhaps always going out and having a crush on someone else or like dating short term, which again, like not necessarily anything wrong with that. And most of the time when I talk to people about like romance or wanting to be in a relationship, like what I hear is people saying like, "Oh, I want the long-term thing. I want my person. I want the thing that lasts." And so that's what I'm thinking about as I think about this card. So, all right, card number 4, what do I need to make time for? And for this one, I pulled the Knight of Wands, which I feel like I've never pulled this particular card from this deck before because I don't recognize the picture of it. So here we are, the Knight of Wands over here. Love to see a knight looking femme with like a septum piercing and makeup and tattoos. We love that. So wands are, right, the fire sign. They are action, passion, confidence, impulsivity, movement. Again, the knights are, so we have wands as the fire sign, and then knights, I'm trying to think if they are fire or wind. Anyway, all of the like knights are associated with the sign, all the queens are associated with the sign, all of the kings are associated with the sign, all the pages are, or an element. I'm looking at my book, Tarot and Astrology. So in here they talk about that the Knight of Wands is fire and fire. Explorer, wide-ranging interest, craving for philosophical and spiritual conquest, fascinated by foreign people and ideas, associated with Sagittarius. So that I think of that with like travel, and kind of the like foreign people and ideas, wants to see the world. Again, when you think about the knights, they are the ones that like go out beyond the borders of the court and go and see what's out there, and also, right, potentially like fight with it or get information. Thinks of himself as invincible, which leads to risky, dangerous behavior. Right. So again, if we think about fire signs and then fire with fire, it's like now we're in a firestorm. Moves with energy and drive. This can be exciting and motivating. Again, like wands are the spark of creativity, the spark of an idea, right? We use this language around fire to think about like, again, ideas, creativity, especially when it pushes you to act, can also lead to rushing in without considering the long term, right? So similarly to the Knight of Cups, right? There is still this like sort of impulsive action aspect. With cups, it would look more like relationships or like feelings, like following your feelings in the short term. With wands, it's a bit more about, yeah, perhaps like your ambition or drive, maybe like career or a project you're doing. Card asks you to channel your energy with intention so that it carries you forward rather than burning out, right? That's the other concern about fire and fire, is that like it could just go forever. There's nothing to put it out. There's no water. There's no like grounding earth. There's not even air or wind, which can like, right, create a lot of like fires need oxygen to continue burning, but also like that will make them burn out faster, like go through it. Whereas fire and fire is just, if you just have more like fuel for the fire, it can just keep going. So again, if we go back to what do I need to make time for? I mean, it sounds like creativity, right? Like ideas, allowing yourself even like perhaps literal movement, right? Energy, drive. So like I think of like hiking or being outside, or again, like maybe like running or biking or whatever you like to do, like doing something that's literally like the movement pushing you to act, right? All these words are very like physical in a way. So if this was like an earth sign, so a Knight of Pentacles, I would think, oh, it means you need to like ground or get connected with the earth. But as I think about it as a wand, it's more about like, yeah, this energy with intention. So like you get the idea, you create the thing even, right? If wands are about creativity, and then you have to, right, as the knight, go forth and like spread the message. You have to go out and or meet the people that you're going to fight with or whatever you're going to do as like a metaphorical knight. You have to go like meet the thing, whether again that's like creating something and putting it out in the world. You have to go talk to the people about it. You have to go get feedback. You have to, right, like use that information and data again to kind of carry you forward, versus if you get feedback and you're like, oh, no one liked it, I hated it, like I'm never gonna do that again. right? That would be an example of like, okay, that's not really going to carry you forward, right? In order to carry us forward, it's like, okay, well, what worked? What didn't? How do I use that information to inform the future, right? Even if it started with impulsive movement or action and passion, like this is also about like now that you made the thing, how do you make it long term? Which again, it's interesting because we had the Knight of Cups too, talking about the long-term aspect. So this is a month of, again, like action, passion, confidence, right? Like sounds fun. Sounds like a fun July. But then again, if we have this more energy in summer in the Northern Hemisphere where we have more light and heat, then, right, how do we use that to carry us into the cooler months, into the months where we maybe need more stability or we have less time to do things? The daylight hours are less. How do we think about how we like sustain that long term, right? That's what we're being asked here. And then finally, what opportunity should I seize this month? And for this one, I pulled strength in reverse. Also fascinating. I also pulled this one recently. So here is strength. Here, again, strength often depicts a lion or large cat, but strength is really about inner strength. Inner strength, courage, compassion, emotional resilience. Strength represents the ability to face challenges with patience and calm rather than force. It is quiet, enduring power. So their take on it is strength reframes power as softness, endurance, and emotional honesty. It points to the courage to remain open, to care deeply, and to persist without hardening yourself. This card can signal holding boundaries of compassion, continuing through difficulty without losing your sense of self. It honors the kind of strength that is often overlooked, the strength it takes to feel, to heal, and to keep going. So if our question or our prompt is what opportunity should I seize this month? And again, we pull this in the reverse, I would say that we need to work on this like holding boundaries with compassion, continuing through difficulty without losing your sense of self. And again, I really think about what we've seen with the last two cards with the Knight of Cups and Knight of Wands, which is like something's being created, right? We had the Ace and the Fool. All of those are very like creative, spark, starting something new, like action, energy cards. So we have all this action and energy and like strength. And all right, now we have to kind of work on the like resilience part of it or the like long-term planning part of it. The things about, right, how do we have boundaries and not get burned out? How do we um, lovingly take care of ourselves even when we are very passionate? How do we take a break during our workday and actually take time for lunch when we are so excited about these ideas that we could work for hours straight, for example? I am going to grab my um, Upside Down Tarot book since we pulled so many reversals today. And I'm curious in particular about the strength in reverse. It's hard sometimes when it's a reverse and then like it's a question because it's like I can see what it is in the upright. And then when it's a question, just becomes a little more. So what opportunity should I seize this month? And we're talking about strength reversed. So I'm reading from Upside Down Tarot, how reversals add depth to your reading. So they say there's different keywords. There's strength, patience, compassion, and soft control. So we're going to look at options for the reversals under each of those keywords. So again, we're talking about opportunities. What opportunities should we seize this month? So under strength, it says you're lacking like stamina. Yeah, we are sort of playing with this like maybe we're wanting to feel stronger, feeling more energized. Um, so I think when that comes, like follow it, right? When you do have energy, when you are able to do things, when you get the ideas, like follow it. It says the will to survive may grow, your power may build. Um, so that could be part of it. Let's see, under the word patience, it says for strength reverse, the opportunity could be like thinking about becoming more patient, working with like it may be easier to wait. Again, when we think about these cards is so action oriented, right? That again, I feel like sometimes we get in the cycle of like, okay, I took the action. Now what? Right now we have to like sit in this discomfort that like nothing's happened yet. No one's seen it. No one's responding. No one is engaging with you about it. You don't have any feedback yet. Right. So I think there's this level of like the opportunity is that you get to go out and get that feedback. You get to perhaps take a break and go do some other things while, still continuing to check up on this and respond to people or respond to the offer or check in on the project, the long-term thing. But, right, we're learning how to be more patient and how to wait. You may develop calm endurance. You may need to bide your time. People may become more accepting. Under the keyword compassion, we could say the opportunity is you might start to feel more sympathy or tolerance towards other people may grow, right? Maybe you're going to understand that, like, oh, okay. I know now that it's not just that the creating the idea is hard, it's that the execution of it is really hard too. And it's hard to continue doing something even when you don't have like positive results. Yeah, I'm thinking about things in business or even like starting a podcast or other things. Like it's really hard to like be consistent and show up even when it feels like the only person you're being accountable to is yourself. Sometimes, right, if we don't have that like the resilience or the long-term plan. So like when I did my podcast last year, I was like kind of like no matter what, I'm going to put out a podcast every day Monday through Friday for all of 2025. No one like asked me to do that. No one said this is a good idea. Most people were like, that's so many podcasts. You've never done a podcast at all. Like, what are you thinking? Like, okay, you really gonna do that all year? Like it was a lot of skepticism. Not everyone, but again, like people just being kind of like, wow, why? um, where there is this sort of like, if you have that desire, right? And if you have the opportunity and if you are seizing the moment, like, great, do that. You just might have to recognize that not everyone else is on board yet or can see the vision that you hold. And for the last one with the keyword of soft control, which again, I think is like sometimes how strength is depicted. Um, let's see. It's saying, so if our opportunity here would be like considering a delicate approach, maybe being too accommodating. Uh, yeah, so maybe you've either are holding, you created a boundary and you're holding it really strongly, and maybe like it's too strong actually. Maybe you're holding it out of fear and not out of like compassion, which is okay. Sometimes we have to like try it or stick with the hard boundary at first to see how it feels and to kind of like begin to trust that people will hold it and that you can hold it. Um, but yeah, the other things about strength, again, if we go with the like too much or too little idea, if for strength in reversed, it would say like, yeah, again, maybe you're being either too compassionate or soft, again, maybe with a boundary or something like you've said it once and you're like, why are people still pushing against this? Or wow, it's so annoying. They're not listening to me. Perhaps like you need to be nicer to yourself about it. And not expect that you're going to be able to do this right out the gate. And also sometimes we have to understand that just because we set boundaries doesn't mean that anyone likes them or wants to follow them. Like ultimately, it's up to you to hold the boundary and to walk away if people are crossing it, or to make a decision about what you're going to do about that, that we don't actually have any control over other people. So I think that's when I think about what opportunities should I seize this month, it's like, what do I have control over? Right? What can I get feedback on? What can I do? What ideas can I follow? What can I put all my energy into? Right? Like you can do a lot of those things. And right, what the opportunities might be like, oh, I don't have a ton of work right now. So like maybe I'm gonna work less, or I'm gonna go outside more, or I'm gonna take a Friday off, or right, like go camping on a weeknight because it's not light or it's not dark till 10 p.m. Like there's different ways to sort of see that as opportunity here. All right. Let's see. So that's our spread for today. And again, that was a spread from Running with the Midnight Hair.wordpress.com about a month ahead tarot spread, which we did for July 2026. I'm going to pull one more card for our final card here. I pulled the Ace of Swords, another ace, another beginning, but also reversed. So, Ace of Swords. So this is more of the, what do we need to know this week, right? What need to be thinking about as we go into this month, as we've begun this month. So the Ace of Swords here. So upright, clarity, truth, new ideas, breakthroughs. So the aces are the beginning of things. Swords are about mental acuity, thinking, thoughts, mental sharpness, communication, right? A lot of the ways we communicate our thoughts through words, and seeing a situation clearly. So the deck creator says the Ace of Swords brings clarity. Something cuts through the noise and you're able to see things as they are. This can feel relieving, but it can also be uncomfortable if the truth is not what you hoped for. It asks you to be honest both with yourself and others. Clear thinking is powerful, but it also carries responsibility in how it's used. And again, if we think of the reversal as like too much or too little of this thing, so again, perhaps you're getting clarity and new ideas, you're getting some breakthroughs, and maybe again that you're leaning towards the like, I'm working too much, I'm like thinking about this too, I can't sleep because I just have so many ideas. That would be the kind of like too much aspect. The too little, right, of things could mean that things aren't feeling clear, or you are maybe being hard on yourself. Like you're having, right, the ideas, but then you also are having the anxiety of, I need more time in the day, or is anyone going to really like this thing once I do make it, even though I've spent so much time on it? Um, yeah, that, right. If swords are all about thinking, like sometimes, yeah, the dark side of that is that's also where like a lot of our anxiety, or even for some folks like OCD, can come in around like, oh, I have to do it this way because otherwise I'm gonna think this or do this. So I would just say that, yeah, keep that in mind for this month. We're gonna have all the benefits of fire and fire, right? Where things are warm and things are moving along and we are having all these ideas. That's the really fun part. But then sometimes the shadow side of that is that our minds are overactive. And so it can be hard to sleep, hard to take a break, hard to be compassionate with ourselves when things don't go to plan, or when someone else doesn't meet your expectations. That can be challenging. That was the Running with the Midnight Hare tarot spread. This was the July month ahead. spread. I would love to see you in some Everyday Tarot merch out on the streets in the world. I will be wearing mine this summer. Thanks for joining today. That's our collective reading for the week. I will be heading over right now to Patreon to draw a clarifying card specifically for blockages and how to overcome them this week. Yeah, how do we overcome that fiery energy, the burnout, the anxiety that might come along with some of these, our overactive mind. If you want to see that exact card and what it means for your energy, you can click the Patreon link in the show notes and join us for the rest of the reading. You can expect weekly episodes published on Mondays, guest episodes about once a month. Next episode will be a guest that I've recorded with, so excited to share that with you. Every episode is recorded on video. Those go out on Spotify and YouTube, but you can find the audio anywhere you get your podcasts. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest, please fill out my form to be a guest on the podcast in the show notes. You can always find the decks, the links for them in the show notes or anything else I reference, or on Patreon if you want to find them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Tune in every Monday to check out the latest episode. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.